Thank you, Fabio. Good afternoon. I will try to keep my voice very evenly modulated. So if you want to take that nap after lunch, fine time to do it. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. This International Institute of Communications conference comes at a very important time for the communications industry and for the technology that revolutionized it, and I'm speaking about broadband. No matter what country or region of the world we come from, broadband networks, both wireless and wireline, are reshaping our global economy and our society, and doing so more profoundly and more quickly than any other new technology in history. These networks and the broader internet ecosystems they empower have become our innovation infrastructure, and they are spanning previously unbridgeable distances. They serve as our 21st century global trade routes and have fundamentally changed every aspect of the global economy, in my opinion. These networks fuel aspirations on a global scale, empowering users anywhere and at any time with an endless stream of data for work, entertainment, and education. The intelligence made possible by these two technologies is multiplying at an exponential rate. They're offering new tools to drive prosperity, opportunity, and productivity, and advance national goals around our common challenges in education, energy, public safety, and healthcare. All of these economic and social benefits are within reach, but they do depend on industry and policymakers making the right policy choices. The decisions we make on a host of policy issues surrounding broadband, and they range from data flows and network security to consumer privacy and the protection of intellectual property, they have the capability of either hindering or fostering the societal benefits that are within our reach. Forums such as this one afford us the opportunity to learn from one another, so I'd like to briefly discuss Verizon's experiences as a network innovator, the conditions that I believe have fostered the vibrant broadband marketplace in the United States, and our perspective on addressing the challenges that broadband faces. Now, Verizon is part of a U.S. information and communications technology sector that since 1966 has invested almost $1.5 trillion in private investment to build and maintain broadband networks. This remarkable level of private capital was jump-started by the insatiable consumer demand for more broadband connectivity, speed, and mobility. It was accelerated by competition in the marketplace among a wide array of cable, telecom, and wireless companies using different platforms, which stimulated growth and innovation. And most importantly, this massive investment was enabled by regulatory policies that permitted market forces to drive the industry forward. Within this telecommunications industry, Verizon has played a significant role by deploying some of the most innovative national and global networks and investing itself more than $100 billion over the past 8 years to do so. These highly reliable and powerful networks not only give Verizon a platform for delivering the innovative services that the 21st century consumer demands, they also serve as platforms for innovation around the world and across the industry. And there are three platforms I'd like to briefly discuss before I move on to the more general topics. The first platform is Verizon's fiber to the home network, which we call Fios, which will soon reach 18 million households. With a current ability to offer customers speeds of up to 300 megabits per second, Fios essentially reinvents the terrestrial network around the demands of the internet age. Today, Fios offers consumers voice, data, and video services, and it is, we're proud to say, often rated the top performing internet service in the nation. Just as important, our investments in this fiber network have prepared Verizon for the next wave of IP innovation. And my pages stick together, so I have no idea what that is. As consumers demand capacity and speeds for bandwidth-intensive services like 3D video, digital home monitoring, telework, smart energy management, and in-home healthcare services. The second platform I'd like to discuss is Verizon's wireless broadband networks, which were created to meet the spectacular increase in the volume of mobile data and video. Verizon has been a first mover in wireless infrastructure in the United States, operating America's largest and most reliable 3G mobile data network, and quickly developing our 4G network based upon the global LTE standard. We are, at this point, by far the largest 4G LTE network in the globe, covering up nearly 75% of the United States and we're on schedule to complete that deployment next year. With speeds up to 10 times faster than earlier wireless technologies, LTE is creating a true high-speed wireless broadband alternative for consumers. And because LTE is increasingly the de facto deployed global standard for 4G services, it will create a dynamic innovation platform for smartphones and applications on a truly global scale and drive greater mobile broadband adoption in emerging economies. Our third and final network platform is our global 100 gigabit speed IP backbone network, and coupled with it, an extensive network of data centers. Our global IP network is the most connected in the world, operating in more than 150 countries on 6 continents and serving 98% of the Fortune 1000. Through our Verizon Enterprise Solutions unit, we provide business customers with integrated communications and IT services, including cloud services, which are the quintessential cross-border services. Now, cloud service, coupled with the globally distributed access that 4G mobile technology brings, will be crucial in supporting the next wave of global innovation. By dramatically decreasing the cost and difficulty of application hosting, computing, and data storage, cloud services will lower barriers to innovation around the globe. And in an era of scarce resources and limited capital, solutions bought as a service rather than as expensive hardware and software licenses — my apologies to those in the room who make their living on expensive hardware and software licenses — these will be critical for productive growth and global competitiveness. Now, Verizon is hardly alone in the deployment of innovative networks, and these interconnected global networks and the consumer demand to use them offer enormous potential for economic growth and societal change. We've heard today that some 2.3 billion people around the world are connected to the internet, and there are more than 6 billion mobile devices in the world, and that number is growing every day. And estimates now conservatively put future global IP traffic growth at 50 to 60% annually. As more and more consumers adopt smartphones, tablets, and other data-demanding devices, we will see quantum leaps in broadband usage and increased demand for such cross-border digital services as e-commerce, e-education, e-health, and mobile banking. Now let me get to the policy aspect of this. All of these innovations require a positive policy environment that allows for the fast-changing and constantly innovating global communications marketplace. The global network of networks has functioned well precisely because there has been no imposition of international regulation, and because national regulatory regimes have generally treated internet services with a great deal of flexibility. Some proposals at the upcoming World Conference on International Telecommunications, however, would seem to reverse this course and create a climate of business uncertainty that would hinder the rate of innovation and level of investment that has flowed to the internet space over the past decade. Clearly, each of our markets are different, but in discussing internet governance, it's critical to remember that just as broadband networks and services are global in scope, the decisions we make about internet policies, whether they be in Washington, D.C., or Brussels, or Geneva, will have global implications. We should also be mindful that while change in the internet ecosystem happens quickly, change in the policy and political world does not. A prescriptive ex-ante policy regime that attempts to impose rigid or outdated rules to new technologies has neither the flexibility to address this constantly evolving marketplace, nor the foresight to anticipate the fast-moving innovations and changing business models we routinely see in the broadband market. To ensure that broadband remains on a robust growth path, the goal of public policy should be to encourage investment, deployment, and adoption of the technology while balancing the needs of the marketplace and the consumer. So how do we accomplish this? I would offer 3 overarching points. First, the so-called dispersed cooperative governance model of today's innovative internet ecosystem has served the technology, consumers, and the marketplace well. We should continue to build upon that success. This mainly voluntary coalition of privately led global organizations, such as the Internet Governance Forum and the Internet Society, helps manage most of the Internet's operational and technical issues and provides forums to discuss and resolve key Internet policy issues. Often, the work of these groups can avoid policy disputes or provide the expertise for solutions that minimize the concerns of policymakers and make it possible for the Internet to evolve and adapt. The recent OECD principles, combined with this cooperative model, provide a good, flexible framework for internet governance going forward. Second, there should be a test for regulatory intervention. Unless there is a demonstrable harm to the consumer or to competition, there is no need for government intervention, and the multi-stakeholder system should be able to function under the collaborative process. The demonstrable harm standard for government intervention protects consumers from bad actors, but at the same time does not undermine the innovation and collaboration that underpin the Internet's evolution. Third, we continue to see the Internet ecosystem breaking down barriers of geography. To tap the full potential of cloud and other cross-border services, we need a public policy environment that keeps our digital trade routes open as possible. This is largely the case, but we do see obstacles springing up, such as the requirements that data and networks be managed in country, and proposals for government mandates around international gateways and routing architectures. Of particular concern is the prospect of international treaty obligations for payments at the border for incoming internet traffic. Proposals like this that are being promoted for the upcoming revision of the International Telecommunication Regulations of the ITU, and there are many reasons that such proposals would severely undermine the growth of the Internet. Would a country that aspires to become an Internet hub or a global source of highly skilled IT labor help itself by imposing a tax on incoming data traffic? Would a country that is just getting its digital development off the ground help itself by making it more costly for digital content across its borders? And what if that digital content were free online courses from a prominent foreign university? Would that content remain available if the university had to pay to send it? Just as our industry is seeing the emergence of IP-based and increasingly mobile services, such as digital video and cloud services, we are seeing regulatory proposals that would limit commercial flexibility and hinder our industry's ability to meet the growing data traffic needs of consumers. There's a real risk that such policies would limit the ability to gain a return on the investments already made and would indeed tamp down on future investments. And in any case, these proposals would create a greater business uncertainty by inserting governments in the middle of a process that has long functioned well with market-based commercial agreements. Rather than throwing up roadblocks to the smooth functioning of the global Internet, we should be working together as businesses and government to foster cross-border data flows. Picture the world 5 years from now if we get things right. Billions more connected to the Internet, primarily through mobile devices in emerging economies. Cloud services providing access to high-quality, vital services around the world. Sophisticated business processes for small and medium enterprises, telemedicine consultations to clinics in remote areas, collaboration between economic planning experts here in Singapore and their counterparts around the world. This is the promise that is within reach. Globally, we continue to come to terms with one of the most tumultuous economic periods in the century. In these difficult times, the lone bright spots for capital investment and job creation are sectors that invested in or utilized next-generation networks. Just as broadband is taking root as a global platform for economic growth, we should be encouraging global policies that stimulate deployment and ongoing investment in competitive platforms. We at Verizon look forward to future discussions and further discussions on ways to engage over the coming months in these areas of mutual interest. Working together, we can address these issues while also achieving our shared goals, expanding access to broadband, meeting consumer needs, and fulfilling the Internet's potential to transform and improve all of our lives on a global scale. Thank you very much.